This is a really late video in regards to this little radio that I built. Basically, it is one of these that originally were built in the late 60s, early 70s. They were used by fire departments, civil defense, and fire buffs in order to...
Ladder 33, engine 960, K-Deck 8. Difficulty breathing, 11,046 North 18th Drive. Ladder 33, engine 960, K-Deck 8.
You know, to receive dispatch from the fire department. They had some features on them, monitor, which is normal, alert, which is, I believe the radio would not pick up anything, or at least not the volume. You wouldn't get any output unless it got a special tone. So the radio would be completely silent, like on squelch, but waiting for a special tone. Once it got the special tone, then it would pick up, you know, it would output whatever was said, or in some cases the tone was used to trigger, if my information is correct, used to trigger the civil defense alarms that used to play. You used to hear every, if I remember correctly, it was Sunday at noon, all the civil defense alarms in the United States would go off to test them. Might have been Saturday, but I haven't heard them since the 80s. Once the alert, you got an alert, you had to hit reset.
1800 North 115th Avenue, engine 133, K-Deck 6.
And there were two types made. There was a low frequency, I believe it was 30 to 50 megahertz version, and a VHF high frequency, which was 135 to 170 megahertz, if I remember correctly. Originally I had bought two of these. The reason I have two is when I bought the first one, I didn't realize it was the low frequency version. The seller didn't specify that, and the low frequency one can't be converted to run, you know, receive anything in the VHF high frequency range. When I did finally locate another one that was VHF high, I basically took the best parts of both, because they each had problems: broken antennas, dented grills, missing brighteners on the volume, whatever. And I made two of them, two good ones, or one good one. The other one I converted to basically a little boom box. It's pretty simple. It runs off of 12 volts DC, center positive, or a battery. Has an aux port, a switch for the to control whether you use the battery or not. Originally, this has a switch in it, but it never worked right. And since I used a lithium polymer battery, it's always, I just wanted something a little more a little more safer, since the lithium polymer batteries can explode, burn, and do all sorts of wonderful things. This will actually run on any voltage between, I think, 9 volts and possibly up to 35 volts. The original specs for the amplifier I put in it, I believe, said 9 to 18, and the little radio MP3 player said 5 to 12, although the voltage regulator on it says it can handle up to 35 volts. I did keep the volume button, but only because the power button or power switch is built into it. The volume doesn't actually do anything. There is no option to control the volume using a standard volume pot. You had to use a special volume pot on the amplifier board. Amplifier is a 10 watt per channel, which is it basically runs, supposedly you will only get 10 watts if you put at least 12 or maybe 18 volts into the amplifier. So this will work off of
to Armenia.
FM radio,
Etana, performing on Keva.
FM stereo,
Daddy conquered death. We believe.
Bárbaro. Aquellos que hablan de North Korea. We need to. Rock and roll to me.
or it'll play MP3s, or actually it has a line in, or it plays MP3s.
Attention shoppers, and welcome to the Springfield
The
Mall.
MP3 player does everything a normal MP3 player does: shuffle,
In our music store. Just
repeat.
look for the flashing blue light on the lower level of the mall.
Has a
Holly comes from
EQ function.
and Dre. She caught a bus to Springfield Mall, VA. Well, her
Think of me fondly when we said goodbye. Remember me once.
Trying to keep the YouTube from dinging me for copyright violations.
Where in the world have you been hiding?
And it works off of battery just fine.
Really love affair.
nighttime sharp. On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life.
And that's maximum
There were
volume.
plants and birds and rocks and things.
Well, let me tell you a story about a legend in some parts. You see, he was born just outside Long Island. You know,
Sorry about that. I'll put some pictures of the internals. You'll see where I installed a copper plate that I connected two 4-inch speakers to. They were pulled out of old KLH or possibly Optimus mini speakers. There was just enough room to mount the little 10-watt amplifier inside the chassis. The little radio, I had to cut out a section for that. And that's pretty much it. The reason for the name is that a lot of people in the radio community, collectors and such, would consider what I did heresy, taking what they would consider perfectly good radio and doing something like this. Although, in all reality, very few people would have a use for this radio. They only pick up one channel. Although my dad had one of these when I was a kid, which he used to pick up the local fire department dispatch. He said that he sent it back to the factory and they upgraded it to 2 or possibly 3 channels. I wasn't able to find any information in the service manuals about any more than one channel, so I'm not really sure exactly how that worked out. And I don't remember the one we had as a kid having 3 channels. If it did, there wasn't much on it. So anyways, that's about it. Bye.